Hi, my name is Chloe Lamas, and I did my presentation on eyewitness testimony. So, eyewitness testimony is a legal term. It refers to an account given by an individual or individuals at the event. It is an integral part of the criminal investigation, as an eyewitness account can provide compelling and important testimony that can be integral to the case. The evidence provided can be important in identifying, charging, and then convicting a suspect. So, it is critical that eyewitness testimonies be accurate and reliable, as juries rely on the information given by witnesses. Unfortunately, there have been numerous studies regarding the inaccuracies and unreliability of eyewitness testimony because of faulty human memory and perception. Further, eyewitness misidentifications are one of the leading causes of wrongful convictions. It is important to understand the science behind witness testimony and further educate the general population so they can make informed decisions. Science has shown that the courts must reform how they look at eyewitness testimony. So, there have been numerous psychological studies that have been done to better understand how witnesses acquire information into their memory, retain that memory, and then retrieve that information. There have been several studies about how human memory is imperfect and susceptible to manipulation. The researcher Loftus explained how memory is malleable in all three steps of processing information in the acquisition, retention, and retrieval stages. There are factors like stress, emotion, whether the event was violent, the time period between the event and recollection, and how lawyers or law enforcement question witnesses that can all impact the accuracy and reliability of one's memory. People tend to overestimate the accuracy of their own memory and are unaware of all the factors that can influence or negatively impact their memory. According to the Innocence Project, about 60% of their clients have been wrongfully convicted due to eyewitness misidentification. Jurors will heavily rely on the testimonies given by witnesses. They believe confident witnesses and give more weight to their testimonies. It is important to note that some research has shown that more confident witnesses are more likely to make accurate identifications, but generally, confidence is an unreliable indicator of accuracy. This can be extremely problematic. Regardless if the witness is correct in their account or their identification of the suspect, jurors tend to believe in the accuracy of the eyewitness account if they appear correct. In a mock trial conducted by the researchers Cutler, Penrod, and Stuve, they had manipulated multiple variables, one of which, time delay, that influenced the accuracy of an eyewitness's identification. They found that the perception of the eyewitness's accuracy was not affected. Rather, the eyewitness's confidence level impacted the participant's perception of accuracy. From the study conducted, it was concluded that jurors put more weight on confidence, and jurors were more likely to perceive a suspect more guilty and an eyewitness more accurate if they expressed 100% rather than 80% confidence. Many are unaware of the multiple variables that can negatively impact eyewitness identification accuracy. Furthermore, there are many studies regarding the role of police procedures and their impact on eyewitness testimonies. During pre-trials, many arguments challenge eyewitness identification evidence based on suggestive eyewitness procedures. A procedure that was and is still heavily criticized is the lineup procedure. A lineup is when law enforcement places the suspect in a group with other individuals who look like them and has a victim or a witness identify the individual. According to the researchers Wells and Quinlivan, a procedure is only considered suggestive if there are four factors: a suggestion of commission, a suggestion of omission, a cue to the witness if they are correct or incorrect, or a cue to the witness as to who the suspect is. Suggestion can be found in all aspects of the lineup procedures. For instance, during the pre lineup, if the witness is given any indication that the culprit is in or not in the lineup, it can be considered a suggestion. However, it can be assumed that suggestiveness is inherent in the procedure itself. Witnesses can also be vulnerable to suggestion from verbal or nonverbal cues from the lineup administrator. In the case of a photo lineup, the administrator might urge the witness to make sure that they have looked at all the photos carefully before deciding there was a filler photo added, which can indicate to the witness that the suspect is included in the lineup. Behaviors like head nodding, shaking, or even facial expressions can influence an eyewitness. Also, in the case of a lineup, witnesses are more likely to make a relative judgment, meaning they will select the lineup participant who most closely resembles their memory of the perpetrator. This can result in eyewitness misidentification. Witnesses are more likely to make a relative judgment because they believe law enforcement would not conduct a lineup if the suspect were not part of it. Another way eyewitnesses are open to suggestibility is through questioning techniques by attorneys. Research has shown that the more structured the questioning of a witness, the less accurate the testimony. Attorneys can use leading questions to not only use suggestibility on the witness, but also the jurors. An experiment by Loftus and Palmer presented video footage of car crashes to participants. The researchers then presented a questionnaire to the participants and modified the words that described the event, asking the participants to assess the speed the vehicles were going. The study showed that changing a single word could impact the entire response. For instance, when the word contact was used, the participants estimated a low speed compared to the word smash, in which the participants estimated a much higher speed. This shows how a question, its phrase, can impact the response. When attorneys know what to ask for to produce the most beneficial answers, it can influence a witness's testimony. An important case to note when talking about misidentification is Ronald Cotton. So, in this case, the victim, Jennifer Thompson, was a victim of rape in July 1984. During the crime, she only had a moment to see the perpetrator's face under dim lighting. After raping Thompson, the perpetrator went on to rape another woman that very night. Thompson went to the police to report the crime. With the help of a police sketch artist, a composite drawing of the rapist is made. The perpetrator was African American and appeared in his 20s with short hair and a thin mustache. The police then went on to create a photo lineup for Thompson, and she identified Cotton as rapist. He was then shortly arrested. Then he was placed in a 7-person lineup. Thompson had little difficulty identifying Cotton. However, the second victim was unable to identify Cotton as a rapist. When Thompson recognized Cotton from both the photo array and the lineup, the police informed her that she identified Cotton twice. Further, when Thompson first identified Cotton from the photo array, the lineup administrator said, "We thought that this might be the one." This could be an example of suggestibility that might have influenced an eyewitness's identification and led Thompson to stick with Cotton as a suspect. Then, during the trial, Jennifer Thompson was considered a terrific witness and was considered completely confident in her identification and told the jury that she did not doubt that Cotton was the rapist. Consequently, he was sentenced to life in prison. 11 years later, his sentence was overturned due to DNA evidence. To conclude my presentation, I wanted to end with a quote from Proverbs. "When you tell the truth, justice is done, but lies lead to injustice." As mentioned previously, eyewitness testimony is very important to the criminal justice system, as the evidence provided can be important in identifying, charging, and then convicting a suspect. When an eyewitness tells the truth, justice is served. The guilty party can be sentenced appropriately, and thus justice is upheld. On the other hand, if a witness provides a false testimony or misidentification, it can result in injustice. Take the case of Ronald Cotton. He was wrongfully convicted and spent 11 years of his life in prison. In this case, he was an innocent individual and faced harm socially, mentally, and emotionally. Issues like misidentification can undermine justice and further perpetuate injustice. However, Cotton was not the only victim. Thompson was a victim as well. She only wanted justice and wanted her rapist behind bars. The missteps taken by law enforcement officials, the judge, and even the attorneys are responsible for the injustice that Cotton faced and the fact that it took 11 years for Thompson to get proper justice. This proverb is all about morality and ethics. Attorneys, police officers, and judges are all responsible in upholding justice. They have a moral and ethical obligation to do so. Virtues like honesty and integrity are not only values that are seen throughout religion, but also in the criminal justice system. This proverb serves as a reminder of the impact that witness testimonies have on upholding justice. And this concludes my presentation. Thank you.